What's going on there, Twitch world? And folks, thanks for dropping into my YouTube. Today, I'm here to bring to you November's meta update. There's been a little bit of a change, and that is the Tap 9 and Paralyzer have been nerfed. Now, I wouldn't say they've been nerfed into the ground. The Tap 9 is still a really great number 1 or number 2 pistol option. It's going to be between that and the Kilowan, or whatever the heck you call it, and the Tap 9. There's still going to be your 2 pistol options. In terms of Paralyzer, is it a great limb to use? Absolutely. It's the only item currently right now that is a full counter to Recon, right? So Recon is able to get countered by Ghost, but if Ghost gets popped, Paralyzer is going to be your next best option. So I still think just the advantage of being able to lock somebody down in front of you, as well as the added information, still makes it a very viable limb. But we are starting to see more variety in the limb combination, especially things like Slam Fist and Ripper. So let's get into the guns, as there's not a lot of major updates, but I want to make sure folks are feeling confident. So the first thing I want to talk about is the double snipe meta. What is it? How do we do it? I don't understand. Well, the main idea behind this is usually folks are moving straight into double kestrel, and with this you can no scope, swap no scope. So any of you Fortnite fans who remember the good old days where you were doing a lot of swap into sniping, or the double shotgun when it was the single fire, right? You do the double swap. You're kind of aiming to do the same thing with your sniper rifle. If you got a really great quick scope, this is also going to be very effective at dolphin dive snipes, is what I like to call them. And this is where you're flying in the air and you have to kind of go downward to get that like swoop of momentum. And when you're up in the air, you snipe and then swap your weapon to the next one as you're coming down and shoot one more time. And that half a second to, maybe 75 of a second is really going to be the big differentiator as you're trying to land that kind of crazy shot. So give it a try. Me personally, I have been experimenting with it, and I just feel more comfortable with one of them. Hit my shots just as well with one or two. I don't think the time differential makes that much of a difference, and I just feel like the kite will always be tried and true. So here is a recap of the Kestrel layout. And if you're watching, thank you. And I will tell you what's being hidden in my webcam screen here. It is the enhanced compensator for range. Along with that, you're going to add the Kestrel 3X Advanced Combat Scope, the Kestrel Heavy Stock, and the Kestrel Light Grip. You're going to notice that I have made a few changes compared to my original build. And this is just me looking to kind of get a little bit more out of the recoil, as I find myself trying to take a lot more dolphin dive or aerial shots within the game. So that recoil was kind of hurting me after I let the first shot off, and I wanted to be able to hit that secondary shot. I also swapped out the scopes, even though the 3X isn't accurate. Devs, I would like you to fix that, by the way. It's off by exactly a 1/4 inch to the bottom, so you're aiming lower than your intended target. Personally, I just compensate by aiming a little bit higher, but I like the 3X because it's better for those mid-range engagements. And when I was using the Proton a lot, I enjoyed being able to close that gap. One thing to keep in mind is it really has a big fall off when it comes to your long range shots, requiring a lot of leading or a lot of height leading as well. So just be really smart on how you're lining up those shots, and I think you're going to get some really good results. That's it for the Kestrel. I'm going to go ahead and swing over to the kite build. I've made a few tweaks here and there, but it's nothing crazy. I'm currently running the noise suppressor, which right behind my head, and the drum mag, kite light grip, and the light stock. At first, I was adding different things like range to see if I can get a little bit more squeeze out of it in my mid-range engagements, but I just wasn't seeing any value in that. Like the gun itself is effective as far as it's going to be effective. The attachment didn't give me an extra 10 feet or 20 feet, so I took it off. And instead, I kept the light stock and noise suppressor combination. The accuracy, because we want more bullets to hit, is number one, and recoil control is just kind of like an added bonus. But really, I was going for the accuracy, which came with the recoil control automatically. Arms, legs, pretty much the same. I think there are two key metas right now. We're not going to get into the meat and potatoes, so check out my limb video, as much hasn't changed there. But Paralyzer, Leapers, or Roadrunners are still going to be your top primary picks, as well as Phosphor Fury. I think the next best offensive layout is going to be Slam Fist and Ripper. But I know folks right now, they're having a lot of issues with, honestly, the lock-on or targeting of these skills. I know I've had moments where, like, I've done a Ripper and a guy's hiding in a corner, but because there's, like, some random pebble right in the middle of the path, I end up ramping over this pedal, and I Ripper over his head, and, you know, an upset happens. So just know that I think that combination is equally as strong, but will lead to a lot more frustration. Soldier backpack, for those who don't know, is going to reload your guns whenever they're holstered. So when you're doing the double sniper layout, right, you can constantly spam those shots and know that when you swap back to the other one, it will be reloaded. Alternatively, a lot of folks like to use the limb accelerator backpack right here. And the big advantage for the limb accelerator is just using Ripper or Slam Fist more frequently. So that's when I would probably swap things out, or maybe trying to get more activity off of your leapers, for example, right? Because mobility is going to be really important, and there's nothing worse than not being able to leap away out of a situation. All right, that wraps up a very large chunk of what I wanted to show you in changes. Let's get to a fresh new build that I've been experimenting with and having a lot of success. So we're going to go to the AR full, and I call it that because I'm using the AZV-100 as my micro mid-range assault rifle. Kite will always be in the meta in every single build you see forward until they do something about that large magazine. So I decided to toss in the AZV-100 because when you look at the TTK, it is about 0.1 to 0.2 damage different than the Kite. And what really makes this valuable is it has a great headshot multiplier, and it also does really well in a probably of that 10 to 25 feet difference that you start to see the Kite hitting people with P shots. So for the build on this compensator, we want a little bit of recoil control to help with our snapping and keeping the, you know, gun straight on the target. I added the heavy barrel, the heavy stock to keep stacking that recoil control, and then we have the AZV-100 drum mag because we need to squeeze as many shots out of this puppy as possible. Let me tell you, it only takes about 5 shots from this puppy, and you are dropping to the floor. The damage is off the charts, and you are going to find yourself in many one-on-one situations going against what? A Kite. And the reality is without that extremely large magazine, you will win the engagement with this gun. This gun will out DPS the other one. And I'd say the only exception is experience or the fact that they had the 69 rounds, because anything under that, this gun's going to outpace it unless the Kite player is cracked out of their mind and hitting all of their shots. You got to remember, most people hit about 35 to 40% of the mag that they're dumping. So those other bullets are going astray. And I think with a gun like this, there's a lot less room for that to happen, or just the burst capability that the weapon has helps, I think, bring it in a little bit more. You don't really run into much waste like you do with the Kite. Very good gun. Try it out. Go take it in the tryout zone if you think I'm kidding. And you're going to be like, damn, this thing is awesome. And you might end up bringing it into the meta. Right now, with the TAP 9 getting nerfed, I've been doing a lot of kilo pistol running, and it's good. It's really good. To be honest with you, folks, it's pretty much dead even. Another example of 0.1 or 0.2 damage difference in terms of TTK, and you're not going to have any problems with this. 4 to 5 shots is going to sit someone on their ass, but I do think the TAP 9 has the leg up with the bigger headshot multiplier, and it's going to continue to be a fan favorite. But if you're looking to switch things up and have a good time, take out the kilo. Just know it's not going to be, no pistol right now is returning to the original TAP 9s. existence, which I'm really grateful for. Amazing nerf. Shout out to the devs one last time. Quick tweak on this build that I've been experimenting with, because it essentially is a double SMG build and I'm all over the place in close range engagements or medium range engagements. I am using hammerheads. Now, these, of course, can be essentially alternatively used as a micro leapers, right? Because you can hop into the air, cancel, and then continue your flight pattern, or slam down on the enemy. And I think having that slam down is really valuable, especially as the circle starts to really close in, or if you're playing outer edge circle gameplay for the win, you can kind of catch people in the rotation. And maybe you have a teammate who's going up ropes and you're already in the air. As soon as you land, your teammate comes up the ropes, your teammate's gonna cause a huge distraction. You're straight up in the air with hammerheads, boom, and you usually can clean that fight up within seconds. I don't think it's going to really be as valuable as Roadrunners and Leapers right now, but it's an excellent option if you want to test it out. I hear a lot of folks, side note, kind of crying and whining about Roadrunners right now because you don't have Paralyzer anymore. There's nothing wrong with Roadrunners, okay? The thing is people have learned to really manage or moderate the percentage of their Roadrunner usage. So they're not running out and they're getting away from you, which I'm sure is really frustrating. But that's your fault because you took a fight probably in Little Kiev where there's 10 skyscrapers and every rope under the sun for somebody to run away from you. Where had you maybe taken that somewhere like Osio, it's a lot harder for you to get to those ropes that are really spread out, or even Salty where the map just isn't as vertical as the rest of it. So think about that when you're getting upset and angry about Roadrunner usage. It's not that strong. And I hope the devs don't cave to the frustration of people in Roadrunners, because if you make one change, if you tweak Roadrunners by 5% and maybe a time of use, you are going to instantly catapult Leapers to the top, because Leapers is still really strong and they both run off the same premise. Did you moderate your charge correctly? If you ran out, you're a dead man. If you didn't, you have very high odds you can get out of the situation that you're in. People just know right now, as they get better as players, it's easier to shoot someone out the sky than it is someone on the ground zip-zapping all over the place. You'll get over it. Moving into the Proton, not a lot has changed here. We're still running that alongside the Kite, but to go over the build, as I've made a couple tweaks to it, we do have the compensator on there instead of the noise suppressor. I found that oftentimes I could use a little bit of added recoil control, and I don't need the silence. I'm usually far enough away or taking shots far enough away and able to hit them. So the barrel cooler continues to be number one because of the damage option. You could take it off and increase the firing rate, but it's going to require you to have to shoot 2 more bullets at the target you're trying to kill. So fire rate, 2 bullets. I think the trade-off is pretty even. Stick to it. Use the drum mag and the light grip to finish things off. Honestly, one thing I will want to add here is a cherry on top. For every single build in the game right now, I actually think the Proton Light Grip is the most busted attachment in the entire game. Like, the Light Grip is insane for almost every single gun. So, pretty much automatic. But again, drum mag, cooler, compensator. Love it. Use it. It's still my number one pick. One thing you're going to notice on that particular build, I'm going to go back to it, is I am not running the 3X. I mentioned it earlier at the beginning. It's off by like a 1/4 inch, which is really annoying, and I just don't like it on this particular gun. And it's really easy and more consistent in terms of shooting people out the air for me without the sight. I liked being able to zoom in and get a little bit further, but I find I'm actually able to hit like 80% of those same shots without it. So I just took it off. And I'm running Paralyzer, Roadrunners, Phosphor Fury. You're going to notice I'm clearly a Paralyzer, Phosphor Fury fanboy. And the week before that, I was a Slam Fist Ripper fanboy. So that is honestly it. I think finally, as an honorable mention, I've been using this one a lot. It is the Kite Squall combination. I usually swap this out for my end game, or just to save a couple bucks because it's a little bit cheaper than the other loadouts. Kite build still remains the same. I'll show that up one more time. So light grip, drum mag, noise suppressor, and light stock. The Squall is back in meta, folks. Now that you don't got a tap 9 flooring you to the ground, you are going to have a lot of dirty plays with this gun. I think the Flesner is just as strong, just requires you to hit those headshots each and every time. So if you're somebody who knows you ain't hitting headies, Squall is for you. Heavy stock, light grip, extended mag with the tactical foregrip is what's right behind me here, and will complete the Squall build that I'm using. Lots of recoil control, lots of accuracy. This just ensures that we're hitting our shots, and more importantly, when that bullet spread takes place, we don't have things going all over the place. So I love that build a lot. The reason I use it kind of towards the end game is we're charging a lot more people face forward. I'm using Roadrunners. I'm just, we're getting in their face, knocking them out and getting back out, pushing another team, getting back out. And I kind of like to be a cheeky bastard and use the trip mines. If it's tight spaces and chases end up happening, I'm going to boom you to the floor. Something else I've been doing as an experiment is tossing in Skunk Paw. Honestly, it's kind of good. So you could toss a skunk ball. Let's say the circle's like closing in, right? And it's real small, closing in. People are going to do one of two things: survive on the outer banks, or they're going to go try and get as center as possible. So throwing a skunk paw right in the middle of everything and all that chaos can really get you some free knocks or just extra damage for your team to finally make that pounce play. Now, how do you make that pounce play? Well, if you did not know, folks, the reason a lot of folks are surviving these endgame circles is because self-revives and your grid shield backpack. You want to have one person on your team, one out of the three, be your anchor and drop him your self-res as his teammates and your grid shields as teammates. You go in there, you full send the fight that's in the center to weaken and damage anybody possible. You might even just end the game and win it right there. But if you don't, you're likely going to at least create chip damage. So that way, as the storm starts ticking away, you are going to be able to survive in that anchor position. You got the self-reses to take care of yourself. You have the grid shields to be able to take care of yourself. And in a worst comes to worst situation, remember, if you got cash on you, running back while you have the grid shield, running back to the shop to go buy your two mates is really important. And for the first three circles, or the first circle moves, you can well, I don't want to say circle moves. Let's just go with 3 seconds. For the first 3 seconds, and I've done so much testing, I've heard people say otherwise, which is why I'm being defensive. But for the first 3 seconds, your teammates can fly right back down and pick another teammate up. You will have almost just enough time to do it. After another 3 seconds, you will only have enough time to fly right back down and buy a teammate back. Anything after, I'd say about that 5 or 6 second window, you're pretty much dead. And it's not worth trying to go for the buybacks unless, again, you have a grid shield or a self-revive to be able to set that up. That's pretty much it. If you're curious, I did have an Ichnya build. It's not great. I did some testing. It sucks. But here it is. I'll give it to you anyways. And the thing behind my head is the compensator. It takes way too many bullets. It takes 6 to 7 shots. And I'm throwing in one headshot along the way in testing. And honestly, you're already 50 to 70% through your mag. It's trash. If you want some feedback, devs, give this thing a much, much bigger mag or increase the damage that it does. Because until then, I do not see it honestly being used pretty much ever. Kilo. If you wanted that build for the pistol, folks, here it is. Compensator, compact laser, drum mag, and light grip. We went for nothing but recoil control and accuracy here with it being a burst fire weapon. Very similar to the mindset that we had there for our AZV 100 build. Well, folks, it is a wrap like Reynolds, and I want to say thank you for stopping by, and that is it for November. Keep in tune as we will make sure to update you every single month as we continue to play off the grid. And until next time, folks, peace, love, and happiness.